An ugly creature made from dead human body parts and holding a shovel, with life given to this molded piece of meat by a demon's soul. This alien guest of the witch's world comes from another plane of existence. It was summoned, imprisoned in a horrible body, a body with no eyes and nose. It is his duty to clean the Von Everec estate and to protect it from uninvited guests. He has a shovel in his hands. He uses it to dig holes to plant trees. He uses it to dig graves to bury the next careless traveler who dares to wander onto the estate. A wheeze rips from his throat, unable to utter words. The demon inside him burns with rage, helplessness, and the need to serve the order of a man who was able to find the real name of a guest from another plane of existence, who was able to bend him to his will. Time passes. The Von Everec estate is aging. Its walls are crumbling. The house is braided with vines. But the caretaker is unaffected by time. He continues to do his work, and the number of graves that neatly line the local garden is growing. The caretaker kills until a witcher comes across him. The White Wolf, Geralt of Rivia. The monster slayer is ready to fight a powerful evil imprisoned in an ugly body, ready to find out what this monster is. And this right here, talking to you guys, is the old Witcher. Before we begin, as always, we'd like to thank our patrons for the support. Without these guys, we would hardly have videos so often. Today we have the Bestiary video. The monster about whom the story will go is known to all fans of the Witcher universe. A frightening, fierce and powerful demon imprisoned in a body sewn from human organs. Stuck up on goodies. We're about to get started. The Caretaker, mythological roots. The image of the Caretaker is unique, and that is why it fascinates so much. The character was entirely created by the script writers of the CD Projekt Red studio. In the case of the Caretaker, we will not be able to find a direct parallel in ancient Greek, Slavic, or any other mythology of this world. However, today it seems that nothing is 100% unique. Everything that exists or has ever existed was inspired by something, and the image of the Caretaker actually goes back thousands of years to times that we know about only from rare surviving documents and archaeological excavations, about which information is often based on guesswork. No, the case of the Caretaker has nothing to do with vampires or harpies, for example. Here we have direct prototypes of creatures that migrated to the universe of The Witcher from the legends of different peoples of this world, the former that is. The image of the Caretaker is a composite one. There is no such monster with the same name in the legends of, for example, the Sumerians. But that is why the Caretaker is so mesmerizing. We understand his image on an intuitive level, but we still have a sense of something new, mysterious and absolutely unique. Let us start from square one, as usual. The Caretaker is a creature assembled from pieces of dead flesh and revitalized with the help of dark magic. In fact, his body is just a cell, a prison for the spirit. It is the spirit that gives life to the stitched pieces of meat. In the case of the Caretaker, the spirit was a demon from another world, subject to the will of the summoner. Now let us go back to the roots of the image. Of course, the first thing that comes to mind at the sight of the Caretaker is the Frankenstein's monster. In the legendary novel by writer Mary Shelley, it is told how a certain doctor named Victor Frankenstein decided to defeat death itself. He spent a long time researching dead bodies, trying to find a way to create a living being out of dead matter. In the end, he was able to sew a creature together from various elements of dead bodies, which he revived with the help of electricity. The parallel is very obvious. Both the body of the Caretaker and the body of Frankenstein's monster are sewn from inanimate matter. They are both ugly and are also slaves to the status quo. It would seem that here it is, the root. But in fact, the history of this image goes far back into the mythology of our world, back to the times of ancient Egypt, one of the most majestic civilizations of its time. It was in ancient Egypt that an extreme emphasis on the afterlife first appeared. Of course, the idea of immortality had its origins even further back. As soon as people learned to think, they immediately began to reflect about how to extend their lives. In ancient Egypt, these ideas came to the absolute. Each of the ruler pharaohs of ancient Egypt dreamed of being immortal and declared himself as such. Huge pyramids, incredible sizes of tombs for pharaohs were constructed. The bodies of Egyptian rulers after their death were mummified. These bodies were escorted to the afterlife in the company of incredible treasures that supposedly could help their owner in his afterlife. Eternal life was the dream of a noble Egyptian, and this cult of revival after death found its reflection in mythology. For example, one of the ancient Egyptian legends describes the journey of the god Osiris and his wife Isis. When Osiris was killed, his body was found and torn into 14 pieces by a giant named Typhon. These parts of Osiris's body were scattered all over the vicinity, and Isis, having learned about what had happened, began to search for these body parts. The goddess managed to collect almost everything. Only one part of Osiris was not found because it fell into the river and was eaten by fish. You can try to guess which part it was in the comments below. So Isis was forced to create the missing flesh of Osiris, and by combining all 14 body parts, she was able to resurrect her husband. This is the beginning of the Frankenstein idea, the idea that from different parts of the body, it could be recreated alive, the body that is. An idea that is embodied in the witch universe in the form of the image of the frightening and dangerous Caretaker. The Caretaker in the Witcher game. By the time the writers and artists from CD Projekt Red decided to create the Caretaker just like this, assembled from undead body parts, with a demon inside this dead body, it became clear how well this monster fit the style of the Hearts of Stone expansion for the Witcher 3 Wild Hunt game. The story of the Caretaker begins with the name of the summoner, the one who fused dead body parts into one organism, the one who summoned a powerful demon, the one who subdued this demon and locked it inside a dead body, thereby reviving that very self-made body. It was ugly, monstrously pale, without eyes and even without a nose. After all, who needed those eyes and that nose? A demon without these attributes of the physical body can see and hear better than many. Olgierd von Everec, the summoner, was of the same opinion. His history is sad and instructive, and one of the symbols of this story was the Caretaker. Olgierd was just a man, but a desperate financial situation forced Olgierd to take desperate steps. Von Everec summoned an incredibly powerful creature into this world, Gaunter Adim, Master Mirror, and made a contract with the latter, a pact. All the problems that haunted Von Everec were quickly solved, and the man became immortal, but the price for this was Olgierd's soul, as well as his heart, a heart that turned to stone. After all, on that day Olgierd became immortal, but he could no longer feel anything. He made his existence meaningless, for he could not feel emotion. He lost touch with reality and the line between good and evil. He turned the life of his beloved wife, Iris von Everec, into a nightmare. One of the attributes of this nightmare were demons. Olgierd surrounded Iris with so-called servants. He saw that the lady was suffering, so he decided that she needed company. Olgierd summoned 2 demons from their world and put them in the bodies of a dog and a cat, just so that Iris would not be bored. But this action was terrible. The demons felt no emotion. Just like Olgierd himself, they could not help Iris, they only frightened her. They were the monsters that literally sucked the joy from the world around them. But the final point of this nightmare was the Caretaker. Olgierd was no longer disgusted or ashamed. He sewed together parts of a dead body. What for? He just needed someone to look after the estate, to serve, to clean, to guard the territory. Hence the name, Caretaker. Olgierd no longer thought of hiring someone ordinary for this position. He had changed completely and had no patience for people who might be horrified by what he had become. He summoned a demon and imprisoned that demon in an undead body sewn with his own hands. Iris's nightmare grew with new details. Now there was also an inanimate, mute, dangerous monster in her surroundings on a permanent basis. Here it is, the whole company of Iris, 3 horrible demons. Then Olgierd left, and Iris died of boundless, gloomy longing and turned into a ghost. The same monstrous spirit, which could not leave this world for good, and settled in the painting that Iris had once painted. The Caretaker remained, willless, able to do only what Olgierd von Everec ordered him to do: guard the estate, set the table, keep the estate in order, doomed to an eternal automated existence. His body is ugly. He himself harbors an unbelievable anger toward all living things. Anyone who wanders into the von Everec estate will be killed by the Caretaker, and then the corpse of the uninvited guest will be carefully and quietly placed in a small grave in the garden. The Bestiary entry reads, "The Caretaker served with the indifference of a golem, and proved as fierce in battle as it was diligent in its labors. It felt no pain. In fact, each blow it received seemed to give it strength, as did each blow it landed on Geralt with a spade it wielded as a weapon. What is more, the Caretaker was able to summon powerful spirits from the grave it had dug and could heal itself by absorbing. The Witcher had a hard time evading the devastating strikes of its weapon, and his only chance at wounding the creature came when it would stick its spade in the ground to draw on otherworldly energy. in an attempt to petrify its foes with fright. The being known as the Caretaker had been summoned to the Von Everec estate from another realm, making quote-unquote demon its most accurate designation. The Caretaker had been forced into servitude by magic. Its tasks to care for the house and protect it from intruders. It performed these pedantically, tending the flowers, repairing the fences, tidying the yard, and murdering all intruders who set foot on the grounds, then burying their corpses in neat rows on untended land just beyond the manor garden's bounds. For now, it was the Caretaker who could be called the actual master of the Von Everec estate. When there are no real masters, it's the steward who's in charge. The Caretaker is tall, strong, armed with an ordinary-looking thing, a spade or a shovel. But for many years, this spade has been imbued with the power of the demon that sits inside the sewn body. This spade/shovel is the Caretaker's power, his connection to the other world. Thanks to this shovel, the Caretaker can draw power and can even summon the souls of dead people, and he can feed on these souls. Fury and hatred for all living things has developed in this demon over years of imprisonment. He has no tolerance for humans, and he fights skillfully with a regular shovel in a stilted, clumsy body. The rite of summoning that Von Everec has succeeded in is unique. Who knows if there has ever been a demon in this world, with the exception of Gaunter or Dim, stronger than the Caretaker. In any case, of those that were subdued by men, none were known of such. Olgierd von Everec must have known the real name of the Caretaker, his, or rather its, demonic name, but he had never uttered it, for then the power over the demon would go to someone else. That's why the demon with the shovel is the Caretaker, the one who owns the house while the real owners are gone, one of the strongest opponents of the legendary witcher Geralt of Rivia in his life. The image of the Caretaker dates back to the legends of ancient Egypt. It steps through history to the legendary monster of Frankenstein by writer Mary Shelley, and it reaches the witch universe in the form of a frightening and mesmerizing monster with a shovel, which itself always buries the corpses of the people it kills. In the future, this image will arise again and again, for in its essence is the main aspiration of mankind, the aspiration of victory over death. Meanwhile, the Old Witcher team strives only to please its viewers with regular videos on the Witcher universe. So do support our creativity and our work on Patreon, become a sponsor on YouTube, or thank us by liking and commenting. We thank our patrons for supporting the Witcher universe videos on our channel. Do write about what monsters of the Witcher universe we should consider discussing in the next videos. Anyways, thanks to each and all of you, our dear friends, for every view and every contribution to our channel. And see you soon. We will hear from you when the Old Witcher speaks once more.